Hey guys, so this is another Patreon request, and this one comes from Gordon Rajani, and he asked me to do, as a Patreon request, my top 10 favorite anime villains. Now, as always with these top 10 lists, we'll go through the rules real quick, but before we do, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done yourselves, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 3rd tier, and you guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started. So, with all these rules, as always with the rules of these top 10 lists is, these are just my personal top 10 favorites. Like, I'm not saying these are the definitive top 10, I'm not saying that these guys are, like, this is my favorite list, and if you think a villain should be higher or lower or not at all on the list, that's totally fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. Also, for those wondering, Junko Enoshima is not going to be on this list. Yes, she has an anime, but she started as a video game character. I was going to put her on the list, but I was like, no, she started out as a video game character. That's kind of cheating. So that's what kind of made me take a step back. And because I was very close to putting her on here. I was like, does she count because she's an anime villain? So I was like, I don't, I mean, she is a video game villain first. That's also why I didn't put Gilgamesh on here from Fate Stay Night on here, too. I was close to putting him on this list. But no, these guys have to originate from anime. Anyway, so let's get started with this list. Starting off at number 10, Bakura from Yu-Gi-Oh! But the reason why I had Bakura here, and I was very, I was thinking about putting Yami Merrick or Pegasus or even Kaiba could count. But the reason I went with Bakura was because he's very much like the spider in the background, just kind of creeping up on everybody. Yeah, you know he's there and he's a threat. He's a credible threat throughout the entire series. But by the end of it, he brings in a dark god. He brings in Zork. He brings in, and his backstory is really compelling too. He's a manipulator, he's dangerous, and he is someone you don't want to mess with, and someone that has always been, pulling the strings in some cases. So Bakura, I think, Bakura, the more I thought, I was like, yeah, he is worthy on that spot. So there you go. So let's move on to number 9. At number 9, we have All For One from My Hero Academia. Much like with Bakura, there are so many villains that are very good. I was very close to putting Shigaraki on this part. And yeah, the reason why I decided I really sat down and thought about why I really like All For One as a villain. It's very much like the same reasons for Bakura, where they're the guy who basically set up everything. I know All For One doesn't get a lot to do later in the anime and manga, but really, and yeah, if you're wondering, I do have it all written down here. All For One, he's dangerous. It's like Lex Luthor and Amazo fused together. He's manipulative, and he's someone that even All Might was scared of. This is a dude who you just did not want to mess with. He would come at you with everything he had. Just all around someone you don't want to mess with. And also the guy who helped make Shigaraki the monster he is now. Like I said, I was, I really thought about it, because I was like, man, I was thinking Shigaraki on putting here in this spot, or Dabi, or even Toga. But then I thought about it more, and I was like, no, All For One. He's kind of like the baseline for all of this, the entire series, really. So there you go. So moving on now to number 8, and at number 8 we have Vicious from Cowboy Bebop. Vicious lives up to his name. Vicious is brutal, he's violent, he is, manipulative, and Spike's opposite. The reason why he's kind of lower on the list is because we don't really get a lot of Vicious. But when he's there, he makes it his own. You focus on him as a villain. That's the thing, is that when he is there, he makes sure you're looking at him. He doesn't get that, but the thing is, like I said, he doesn't get a lot in the anime, but when he's there, he is there. Great fighter, great antagonist to the show, and the reason why we have such an epic finale to the series, really. So there you go, Vicious. So at number 7, Naraku from Inuyasha. Naraku was one of the first major anime villains I ever encountered outside of Dragon Ball Z. This is a dude who destroyed himself and made himself almost into a Lovecraftian nightmare, essentially, to be, to have ultimate power and be in love with Kikyo, and also destroyed everyone's life because he had a hate boner on for her. Naraku is manipulative, he's powerful, and someone you just cannot, you cannot predict. And someone you have to make sure is really dead. Like, you really have to, kill every part of him to make sure he is dead. So, yeah, Naraku, he's powerful. He's also his theme is badass. Let's be real. Like, the Naraku theme is pretty awesome. In terms of villain themes, it's really fucking good. Alright, moving right along to number 6. And at number 6, we have Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho. Okay, before we go any further, I just want to say, and I don't think this is even a hot take, really. The tournament arc in Yu Yu Hakusho is the GOAT. In terms of tournament story arcs in anime, and I do stress any anime, Yu Yu Hakusho's tournament is the GOAT. Its tournament arc is the GOAT. Not Dragon Ball Z, not Hunter x Hunter, which I haven't really watched, so don't at me with Hunter x Hunter stuff, because I know. But yeah, even Ruby, all of that. None of them have the type of tournament arc that Yu Yu Hakusho had. That is the GOAT. The GOAT! I just wanted to get that off my chest. So let's talk about Toguro, a rogue student of Genkai who really pushed Yusuke's to his limits. That final fight between him and Yusuke is god tier. This is a guy who is brutal, he is manipulative, he is just a guy who wants to just hurt you. Psychologically, and especially physically. I see there, and also, all of his forms, wow. Awesome character designs as well. He's just awesome. That's all I can really say, is that he is just awesome. I was actually very close to putting, like, some of the other villains here, but Toguro, when I kept coming back to, like, the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, Toguro right here. So, let's move on to number 5, Galaxia. For Sailor Galaxia from Sailor Moon. Yep, I wanted to have a Sailor Moon villain on this list, and I could think of no one better. I mean, you could, like, I was thinking Beryl, but then I thought, no, Galaxia. This woman is, like, the female Thanos. Like, the whole thing of her is that she wants to just destroy everything and consume the star seeds out of the other Sailor Scouts. Like, she literally went around the universe hunting down planets for their star seeds and even driving other people's planets to kill their Sailor Guardians and offer up their bodies for her to consume their energy. This woman literally no-scoped the entire squad of the original Sailor Guardians, drove Usagi to the brink of madness, and just drove, and also turned Uranus and Neptune against the... She is just evil incarnate. And yeah, Sailor Moon S did it a lot better than the original anime. I'm sorry. The My Little Pony I Forgive You thing didn't work for me at the ending. But yeah, so anxiously awaiting that final arc. I think it's out right now. I could be wrong. I haven't been paying attention. But yeah, Galaxia deserved to be on this list of my favorite villains. So now we're at the big 4. I can count. I almost put 3. So at number 4, we have Makoto Shishio from Rurouni Kenshin. You want to talk about badass anime villains? Badass anime villain right there. The carnage that this man did to Kenshin and his family is undescribable. The shit he pulled in to get his power. The guy lived up to being Kenshin's successor as Batosai. And how he went out is nothing short of legendary. Just his sweat glands, since he had burns all over his body, he couldn't sweat during his fight with Kenshin, so his body literally just combusted in fire, and he's just like, yeah, I'm cool with it, I'm just gonna die burning to death. Yeah. Just an epic villain. I'd go more in depth, but I don't want to make this video too long for everybody. Alright, the big 3. So, at number 3 we have Griffith from Berserk, who did nothing wrong. That's a lie. Griffith, if you want to talk about, like, traitors in anime, like the top 10 anime betrayals in anime, I guarantee you Griffith's at number 1. Especially what he did to Guts and everyone else. You know, this man has got 2 songs from Beast in Black about him. You know, he's such a metal character, he has not 1 but 2 metal songs about him. Maybe even more. Maybe there's other bands who've written about him. But Griffith is manipulative as he is power hungry, and he shows it when he becomes Femto. He's just epic. So now we come down to the top 2. And yeah, so at number 2 is my favorite DBZ villain, and that's Frieza. Like I said in my previous video, Frieza is the quintessential villain of Dragon Ball Z. This is the guy who usually shows up more than anyone else because he's such a great character to watch either kick ass or get his ass kicked. He is powerful, he's intelligent, and let's be real, he's the reason why we have one of the most epic moments in anime of all time, period. Frieza, and also apparently the Frieza black art in Super has been nothing short of epic. But yeah. Well, what more can I say about Frieza, really? So let's move on now to number 1. What anime villain is my number 1? Well, I can tell you one thing. He likes war. That's right, the Major from Hellsing. Evil incarnate. The Major has no plan, he has no rules, all he wants is, I want a good war. I don't care if I win. I just want to hurt people and have one last big hurrah for my army of vampire Nazis. This is a guy who hated Alucard so much as a person. His will was so powerful, he drove himself to survive as a cyborg because his hate was so powerful for the immortal. Yeah. The Major, cold, calculating, and one of the best speeches in anime, period. Anime villain monologues, at the very least. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my top 10 favorite anime villains. Like I said before, I'd like to thank Gordon Rajani for this Patreon request and continue patronage. And like I said, if you guys think a villain should be higher or lower on the list, or not at all, that's totally fine. I'm always excited to hear what yours are on your list. But anyway, just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.